We are rural women. We are strong. We're ambitious. We're leaders. And we inspire. Some of us are mothers and caregivers, partners, workers and community members, friends. And we don't do it alone. We seek community, connection, and representation of people like us. 100 Rural Women plants that seed. We aim to cultivate a community that empowers rural women and lifts one another up. Welcome to our Spotlight series, where we interview amazing women who are making a difference for rural communities across Minnesota, because we believe that women like you deserve a spotlight.
Tell us about yourself, and your name, your occupation, your organization, your connection with 100 Women, and any readers to tell the audience what are your interests in this platform here.
Hello, Hannah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you. My name is Bernadine Joselyn. I live and work in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. I work as the Director of Public Policy and Engagement at Blandin Foundation. Our mission at the foundation is to strengthen rural communities. And I love this work because it helps me, I get an opportunity to help communities live into the vision that they have together about what they want to be for their communities, and how people have hope and feel efficacious and feel motivated to be involved. And it's really a privilege to get to do that kind of work, mission-driven work. I grew up in Minnesota. I a graduate of the University of Minnesota, and then I've lived and worked abroad. But I really love rural communities and rural life because it helps me connect to community and place in a way that is that I really appreciate after having lived in a lot of big cities.
That's all right. That kind of goes down to the next question. Just to describe your connection to rural America.
You know, I forgot to mention earlier my connection to 100 Rural Women. And I just want to say how, I mean, doesn't just the name 100 Rural Women make you curious and excited? And here we are today with three amazing young rural women. So I am really inspired by the opportunity to meet the women that I've met through this organization, by their stories and aspirations and hopes. And this series is a great example. Another really fun thing I've done through 100 Rural Women is the book club. And we discussed the Willa Cather's book, Oh Pioneers. And that was just on the eve of my trip to Nebraska. So my connection to rural is rooted in Nebraska. Both of my parents were born and raised in Northeast Nebraska. And as a child, we used to drive down to the farm in the back seat of our station wagon for Thanksgiving dinner, and getting the eggs out of the chicken roost and the corn crib, the whole kind of central casting farm in Northeast Nebraska. So I'm deeply connected to it through my family, through my roots. The smell of the prairie and the wide open spaces really feed my soul and make me feel connected to my past and future.
Tell us a moment about when you felt discouraged and how you overcame it.
Well, today is September 1st, 2021, when we're doing this interview, and I am very discouraged about the news that came out of Texas yesterday about the decision to essentially ban abortion. And I've been thinking about my parents, both of them, 20 years ago, working for the North Suburban Human Relations, trying to remember the name of, Teen Annex was the name of it. And it was medical help for pregnant teenagers. And back in the day, we'd have to they would actually help with kind of like an underground railroad, get young girls and women out of Minnesota to New York City, which is the only place you could get abortions in Minnesota then. And I'm just so discouraged that here we are again. And how I overcame it is turning to one another, right? and hoping that we all stand up and speak out and just cannot let this stand. And so I guess I'm hopeful that people will push back.
And how do you lead and create change in your community? And how can your community better support rural women?
That's a great question. That's what we all want to do, I think, is at least be part of change. I'm not sure that it's about leading as much as creating or co-creating, because everybody's a leader. Everybody's perspective and experience is part of the solution, better together. I think in my experience, the biggest barrier to community engagement is cynicism and apathy. People check out, they're overwhelmed, and maybe probably also under-resourced. I think that helping people experience and believe in what we can do together, and that we have both an opportunity and an obligation to make the world better, is a first step. And just helping create conditions where people can come together and have conversations about the future that they want to live into, and remind everybody that we're the answer. We are the leaders that we've been waiting for.
If you could give one piece of advice to your former self, what would that be and why?
Well, I think one piece of advice to my earlier self: don't care so much about what other people think. Being able to look yourself in the mirror and have personal integrity and pride that you are living a life in alignment with your own values, it's much more satisfying and important than what other people think of you.
Who or what has been your biggest inspiration?
So lately I've been doing a lot of work in my family genealogy. I'm really interested in my family history and reading the stories of my forebears, my great grandmothers and great great grandmothers, and their life on the prairie as homesteaders, and coming across and building new lives with very little has really inspired me. I think to work hard and get up early and try to make every day count. So I get inspiration from the women and men, but mostly the women that are in my family.
Where do you see the future of how rural women can transform, like just having leadership in general here?
I don't think there's a silver bullet answer. I actually think the secret sauce of real women is that it's built on conversation. I think conversation is the most catalytic thing we can do together. I mean, think of it, everything we're doing that's hard started with the conversation. And so just helping, creating space and holding space and inviting people in to connect with one another, to support one another in their work the thing that's so unsatisfying about that answer, right, is it's so retail, it's so atomized, it's so one by one by one. But it is heart and soul, right? It's changing hearts and minds and making people feel confident. And I think being in relationship with one another is a way to do that. And conversation is central to that. So that's what I would say.